Hello, happy 2025. I am so excited to be back. Hello, welcome. And oh my goodness, I have just so much to catch you up on. I'm so excited for this year. I just feel like so many good things are going to happen this year. I am also coming back to social media after a very long break. I checked my Instagram. The last time I posted on there was July. That's insane. But first, let's get reacquainted. So my name is Florence, and in 2023, my family and I moved from the UK to Canada to start our great Canadian adventure. I'm going to try to get through this as quick as possible and see if we can make it just a 30-minute catch-up. I documented so much of the journey, but I never posted. I just didn't have time. It was so stressful moving here. It was stressful settling here. There was just so much going on. And honestly, for a minute, I thought we were not going to make it. I thought that we were going to have to go back to the UK. So grab a drink. I have my water bottle and we're going to get through this. So why did I disappear? Well, when we first landed, we landed in the Niagara region for 10 days. We stayed with Mark's aunt and uncle and we loved that. That was like a holiday. We got all our stuff sorted, like the SIN, exchanging licenses, and then we had a couple of days to just kind of relax, enjoy the Niagara region. And of course, they were driving us everywhere, so we didn't have to think about that stuff. Mark, poor guy, was working. And then we moved to the GTA where Mark's other aunt and uncle live, and they were away at the cottage, so they rented us their place over the summer. So that was all great. Then it came time for us to find our feet, and we were like job hunting and that was not working out. And we were house hunting, that was not working out. And we were car hunting, that was not working out. And slowly this amazing adventure that I'd been looking forward to for the past 5 years just started to implode. And I didn't know how to show up and share that, not knowing whether we were going to actually make it, not knowing whether we were going to have to end up going back to the UK. And I just didn't know how to show up. So I just retreated and I was just in survival mode. And we were just trying to do what we needed to do to make things work. And that's why I disappeared. And also another thing is I didn't want to show up and be like, oh, everything is crap and it's really hard, and which it is. And I do want to give an honest account of moving, but I don't want to be that negative voice. I see it in so many of the groups that people are like, I'm really excited to move to Canada. And then people are just like, oh, you're going to hate it here. And it's like this. And they're just so negative. And although it was really difficult, this was our dream. And I didn't want to give up on it, and I didn't want to make it a negative experience for other people, but I did want to show up and share the truth of our journey, and I just couldn't figure out how to do that. And honestly, I had just other things I was thinking about, so I just retreated and I disappeared. Let's first rewind, and I'm going to take you through the story of where we are at now and what the plans are for the future. So we'll start with so I have spoken, I guess, at length, or maybe not, but I have spoken a couple of times about the route that we took. So my husband, if you don't know, is Dutch Canadian. He sponsored me as his spouse. We went through the spousal sponsorship route, which is under the family route. That's what we started doing in January. Then I started to apply for a job here in Canada, and I really thought that I was going to get it. And we kind of wanted to just be in Canada as soon as possible. So I also ended up applying for the IEC visa. I had aged out, so I had to use an RO, which was an extra $2,000. The IEC visa is actually the cheapest and easiest, but I had to use an RO because I'd aged out. And to be honest, I don't regret that decision. When I look back, because we got PR quite quick after we moved, I do feel should we have just waited? But you know what? We made the best decision that we could at the time. Sorry, there's noise. And I don't regret it, because as soon as I arrived, I was able to do content work and get paid for it and open up a bank account and have all these things because I had that work permit. So that was our immigration pathway. I have done a video and I will link it here on my IEC timeline, which I think is what most people are interested in. I will also do a video on our family sponsorship route, because that was, oh my gosh, an undertaking. That was a lot of work, but we did it ourselves. I firmly believe that you do not need an immigration consultant, especially if you're coming from a country like the UK, Europe, or Australia, New Zealand. I just feel like the move is quite easy. If you are coming from other countries like in Africa, you might need some support, but there's a lot that you can do by yourself. But I'll get into that a whole other time because I have an offer to share with you guys. So we left the UK in April, and we didn't come straight to Canada. We decided to go to the Netherlands. We went there for 3 months to spend time with family and to save up. So we packed up our whole house, and then we moved to the Netherlands, and we stayed with Mark's mum for 3 months. My husband continued to go back and forth to the UK with his work. If I could go back in time, I would have skipped the Netherlands completely. I would have just come straight to Canada because the Netherlands and the UK, the pound and the euro is very similar. And because my husband was earning GBP, it would have just made more sense for us to come straight to Canada and put that money to good use. Because if you're earning pounds and you're spending Canadian dollars, oh my goodness, you are doing great. So I would have just skipped that and I would have just come straight here. So after 3 months, we flew to Canada and I activated my IEC visa. I had also done all my medicals in the Netherlands for my spousal sponsorship because they sent the medicals request, and I then had to travel into Amsterdam to get that done. And that was just so easy. Goodness, do I even remember the process? I think I filmed a lot of it, so I'm going to see if I can I'm going to look for all this content because I'm just going to make a recap series so I can go deeper, because right now I can't really go into the details because I'm trying to get this done. So, as I said, the first few weeks we landed in Niagara and we just got our stuff sorted. Honestly, within like 3 days, we had all our stuff, all our things done. I did a collaboration video with moving to Canada, so I'm going to link that too so that you can watch that. And that was literally me documenting our first week in Canada, and we got everything done, and it was so straightforward. And that lulled us into a false sense of security because we thought it's all working out, it's all going to be great. I also have to pause to say that when we first moved here, our plan was actually to travel for a year. I keep forgetting that. While we were planning and we went to the Netherlands, we were like, why don't we just continue this one? Because we didn't know exactly where we wanted to live, we thought, let's buy a truck, a trailer, and then we'll travel through Canada up until October, and then we'll go into the States up until May, and then we will travel again. And that was kind of our vision and our plan. So just keep that in mind when I say all this stuff because it's all going to make sense. I also created a video about this. I will link that below so that you can see like a quick snapshot of what our plan was. While we were in the GTA, we did not have a car, so we had to do like Instacart for all our food shopping. There was this place called a Vince's, which I don't know if it's in other provinces, but it's here in Ontario and there's not many. But that was local to us, but it's not super cheap. My husband was still working for his UK company, so he was not actively job hunting, but I was. And because we were looking to travel full time, I was just kind of trying to also build up my social media management business. And we were also looking that my husband would do, he's a data engineer. We were hoping that he would do that kind of consultation role and something that he could do on the road and take on like small contracts, which is quite popular. Like they'll hire you for like 3 months, 6 months and things like that. So that's what we were kind of looking at. And that was our plan. But he was still working for his UK company until September. So we were in a like crazy big rush because we thought everything was going to work out. During August, we went to the cottage. So Mark's family, it's a huge family here. His mom's siblings, she has 3 siblings. They all live here. They have partners and they have kids and they have grandkids. So it's a big family. And every August, one of them hosts one of the long weekends at the cottage. And I absolutely loved it. That was, as soon as we got there, I was just like, this is why I moved to Canada. Like this idea that all our family members have taken the long weekend off and everybody's driven from wherever they're, some 5 hours away, some 2 hours away, all to come to the cottage to spend the long... It's okay. Yeah, cool. Sorry, I'm trying to get this done as quick as possible. So while we were at the cottage, there's just all the family members and everybody's just taking time out of their long weekend to be together. And how it works is the cottage weekend, we all arrive like on Friday. Some people arrive a little bit before that, but we spend the whole weekend there. On the Sunday, we all go to a church service together. And because they're in cottage country, it's a place where, so everybody's there, right? Everybody's gone to their cottage for the weekend. The church takes place on this big green field, and honestly, hot day in the sun near the water. And then straight after church, we're all back to their house to like go swimming and go boating. And guys, I took one look at this and I looked at Mark and I said to him, if all my summers can look like this, I will be eternally happy. And I think that I was already having a great time, right? Because we're still in the summer period, and it just reignited my love for what our dream of Canada was. Like, it was this spending time with family, like having a better rhythm, not being so focused on work, and just a different way of life that I just felt we could not get in the UK. And the work-life balance here is so much better, and just that everybody was off, right? Everybody is working, they're all professionals, but when they come for the weekend, they're off. Nobody is trying to answer emails. Nobody's this, that. Everybody's just having a good time. That was just honestly highlight of my whole existence here. After a cottage weekend, we're back to the house and we're making our next plans, and our plans was to travel. So we went and we tried to go get financing for an RV. At this time, the finance people were just like, absolutely not. They looked at me and they said, you have a work permit that's only 2 years. So we can only give you 18 months financing, which is just extortionate. Like, the car payments would be just crazy. And Mark, although he's Canadian, had foreign income. So they were like, you're just unlendable. Really, really and truly, we were just unlendable. Which was a shock to me because I just thought, like, my husband is Canadian, it will all be good. But the thing is, also, my husband left when he was 3 years old, so he didn't even have a SIN number when we got back. He had to get a whole new one. So I think if he had one, he would have had some record, but he was basically like a newcomer like me. So we were just not lendable, long story short. And one of the things as well was the general conversation was that even if we had bought a truck, even if we had been able to find a truck and buy it and it be affordable, nobody would give us financing for an RV because it's a luxury item, and it was just like ridiculous. And all my income at this point was self-employed income. So yeah. You're going to see us pivoting a lot in the story. So that's going to be my first tip. Like, when you come here, just get ready to pivot. I think one of the things that if I could go back and say to myself would be, do not expect that you are going to have the same level of life that you had in the UK. In the UK, I've been there my whole life, right? So we had built up something. We had a 3-bed, 3-bath house. We had stable jobs. We had family. We had community. We were part of church. Like, we had a car. We had everything that we needed. And we knew everything. And to move from the UK and expect that within a couple months, or even the first year, or even maybe the first 2 years, to have replaced all that to the level that it was, is just unrealistic. So that would be my first tip. Like, when you come here, just come expecting to pivot and to be uncomfortable a lot. And if you try to compare to what you had in the UK to what you have here, you're going to feel miserable. So just come expecting that you can build up to that, and actually better than that, but you're not going to be right there and then when you arrive. So that would be my first tip. So at this point, we are like still considering RV life, because we're like, okay, maybe if I get my PR soon and if I get a job, everything will be fine. So after a bunch of job applications, I think I applied for like 127 jobs, guys. I was cracking it all in my Notion. And the ones I tracked in my Notion, all the ones I actually wrote cover letters for too. So I had applied for a lot more than that. I finally found a job, and after like 4-stage interview, I got the job and I landed social media manager at a nonprofit. And guys, this was the worst job in my life. The company was shambles. The leadership, shambles. It was just awful. And honestly, I am still to this day angry because they treated me so badly, and they treated everybody who worked there so badly. And it was just honestly a hot mess, and I'm just going to leave it at that. But anyway, the job at the time was a blessing in disguise because I needed a job, and my husband's contract was ending on the 15th and I started that job on the 19th. So, okay, September, we had been approved a house that was like 4 hours away in a place called, I can't remember, I'll put it here. And it was 4 hours away from Toronto. So we had been approved that house, but we didn't have jobs. So we were really scared to go that far because it was more closer to Ottawa than it was to Toronto. And then we were thinking that if my husband was to get a job, so we'd be in Toronto, not really Ottawa. We weren't sure. and it wasn't so close to Ottawa. It was still like another 2-hour drive. So no car, 4 hours away. It was just like too risky. So anyway, as I was sharing this with somebody at church, her mom overheard, and her mom said, well, we have like a granny suite if you would be interested in staying there while you find your feet. And that was just so, honestly, that was so much kindness. We just thank God that they opened up their homes for us, because we were really stuck. Like, are we going to take this house and risk it and be really far away from family in case we do need help, or are like, what are we going to do? I think in hindsight, what I would have done is just look for an Airbnb. And I don't know why that didn't pop up, but we should have just looked for an Airbnb and stayed closer to Toronto maybe for a while, or just somewhere close to a station while we figure things out. So that would be another tip, like just rent out an Airbnb. If you can put like 4 months worth of money together to like have an Airbnb, at least for the 2 months, then have another 2 months ready, I think that would just give you a lot of freedom to be able to figure things out. So at the end of September, I then got PR. So I posted a little clip sharing about that. And that was really great. So we were like, yes, I have PR, I have a job. It's all going to be good now. So we once more tried to go for RV and truck life, and it was just a no. I'm not even going to go into it right now. I almost will do a whole video. I'm going to do my recap series, so I'll do more details then, but it was just a no. And honestly, I started to feel quite defeated, because I was just so excited about this nomadic life. Like, we were going to travel around Ontario and maybe the other provinces and see what province would suit us, and then go into America. And I was just so excited for this life. And it was just like doors closed, doors closed, doors closed. And I was just feeling really awful. And at the same time, I'm working a job from hell. I am fully remote, but they kept saying like, we're going to be back in office from November. So I was also still kind of like, I need to find a different job, because if we're going to be doing RV life, I can't be in the office. So we just decided to start house hunting. So we are looking for houses, and we were getting turned down left, right, and center. Like, I don't even understand it. We were like, we have a couple of months rent, we have this. And people were just like, no, no, no. Some people weren't even responding. And that's my second tip, or my third tip. Get a realtor. You are gonna need a realtor. If you're coming to Ontario in the GTA, I will hook you up with our realtor. Like, I just sent him all the houses I wanted to see. They have like a whole system. They can contact each other, and he could just book us in to go view those things, those houses. Before that, I was contacting realtors and houses and crickets. So anyway, that was really helpful, and we started to view quite a lot of houses. I'm going to do a whole series about where we're living, because we viewed so many properties in this luxury. It's considered a luxury condo resort, and I absolutely love it. And we viewed a few places here, and it was all like, nope, 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 we're not giving, we're not renting to them, but we're here 1 year later. I'm so happy. But anyways, in the end, we're just like desperate. Like, we're just like, any place that's going to accept us, we have to take. So we finally found this gorgeous basement apartment, and the landlord and his realtor came to meet us at the house that we were staying at. And it was kind of weird here in Canada. They do kind of like an interview process. He really liked us, and he was just immediately like, sure, I'll rent you my place. So we paid the deposit, and that's another thing. Guys, they have limits to how you transfer money here. That was a headache, but we paid the deposit. It's first and last month's rent, and we moved into a basement apartment. And as beautiful as this basement apartment was, I will never, ever, ever, ever again live in a basement, because this house was built, it's so beautiful, but there was no soundproofing. And our upstairs neighbors loved to party. We had to go a couple of times to knock and tell them like, no, sorry, it's too loud. I don't think they realized that it was literally like boom, boom, boom in our ear. It was a hot mess. And another thing is, when you live in a basement, you don't control your heating. Like, the heating is controlled by the upper tenants. So there were times when it got so unbearably hot or so cold. And there was another time that it broke, and none of them told us. And they thought, like, I don't know what they thought. They all went away, and we had gone out for the day. We came back, the house was 12 degrees and it was so cold, and nobody told us. And we had to wait for like 2 or 3 hours to get that fixed. And that just pissed me off beyond measure, because it was like, yeah, so never again. I will just never do that. After around 6 weeks of doing that job, and it was like the same time that we got the basement flat, I had to leave. It was so toxic. I was having panic attacks every day. I wasn't sleeping well. I was feeling sick. It was really bad. I got shouted at one time in a meeting, and my husband closed the laptop, and he was like, you are not going back to that job. So I did not go back to that job. I finished out the week and it was done. And now we were in a new house with rent to pay, and neither one of us have a job. At this time, Mark was interviewing quite a bit actually. He had quite a lot of success with getting interviews with every time he applied. But the problem is Mark is self-taught data engineer, and here in Canada, they're like a little bit behind, like 20 years behind. But they were asking about like specific programs, and Mark was like, no, I don't use that program. And then when he spoke to his old boss in the UK, his boss was like, yeah, we use that program, but like an upgraded version, like we stopped using that program, that style ages ago. Everybody in the UK now uses this, so you're up to date with the UK, but in Canada they were still using that. And because he didn't go to university as well to do that, he did do mechanical engineering but not data engineering at university. They were just kind of like, ugh, and it just wasn't working out. And to be honest, like Mark loves doing data engineering and things like that, but one of the things about us moving here was not to replicate the life that we had in the UK. It was to kind of figure out what new things. And I think Mark in his heart had a big thing of like he wanted to be doing something like outdoors, or he wanted to just not be stuck in front of a computer all day, and we wanted to build our own business, and there was just all these things. So for desperation, like the fact that we needed jobs, he was doing all these interviews, but when it wasn't working, we were just like, I guess this is a door God is closing, and we were okay with that. So anyways, we're out of a job and we've got an apartment we need to pay for, we've got food we need to buy, we've got 2 kids. We're like, what are we gonna do? And then while I was over the summer, I had been like hyper fixating on snow removal. I had watched so many videos about snow removal, and not like the cute ASMR ones. I watched like people talk about how they built their snow removal empire and how much they charge and how they quote people and all this stuff. And I goes to Mark, should we do snow removal? Like, we just need to, when it snows, go door to door with a shovel, knock, and just like charge $20 to remove the snow. 10 houses, we made $200. $200 a day. That's going to be more than enough to just get started and find our feet. And I was delusional because it is not like that if you want to have a proper snow removal business. But at that point, Mark was like, I'm like, what more can we do? So we're like, let's do it. And don't forget, at this time, I'm applying for jobs in my background in business development marketing. I'm applying for those jobs, but I'm applying for cleaning jobs. I'm applying for Tim Hortons. I'm applying for like retail. I'm applying across the whole spectrum. I'm applying for anything that will pay me, because at this time, I also just don't care. For me, it's just like, I just want a job so that I can provide for my family. My husband was the same way. So while we're applying for jobs and we started to be like, okay, like how are we going to do the snow removal? Maybe we can find a company that's willing to hire. Maybe there's a company that needs some help around here. We were just like, whatever, let's try. So I was in Indeed, and there was one company, they're based out in Alberta, and they were looking for contractors to help in the GTA, which is where we were living. And we were like, okay, cool, let's check it out. So we had a call with a guy and we were like, hey, we can do this. We've never done it before, but we can do this. And he was like, you know what, guys, all you need is this. I'm willing to give you a chance. Perfect. Thank God. So he sent us 9 clients on the 1st of December. It snowed. We went to hire a car and we were out shoveling the snow on the 1st of December. We didn't even have proper snow boots. We just had shovels, and that was fine. And we got paid every 15th and the end of the month. And at the 15th, we paid $900. And we were like, yeah, this is not enough money. Our house is $2,400, not including bills. And food here is about $1,000 a month. And we're renting a car, and we $900 not even touching the sides. So we were like, we need to figure something out fast. So we were like to him, is he going to give us more? And he says, yeah, I'll just give you them as they come up. And I don't know if he was just trying to see like if he could trust us, because if he gives us a bunch of houses and then we don't show up, that kind of like messes with him and he has to figure all this out. But anyway, Mark and I were just like, you know what, we need our own clients. And so we set up our business called Sharon Snow Removal. At the time, we were living somewhere called Sharon Village. So it was like, the idea was we're just going to serve our neighborhood, and we're just setting up a website, setting up a business so that we can just be legit. And not even a couple of days, we had people calling us, hey, can you remove our snow? Hey, and we started to add clients, but then he also started to add clients. I think in the end, he gave us about like 20 clients, and then we had like 20 of our own clients. So we were in full snow business mode. So, snow business and new job section. So, it's December. We have his clients, our own clients, and we are traveling all through the GTA trying to clear snow. The days are hard. January and February were intense. I was like crying. I was like, I can't do this, because then we're coming home to like parties upstairs, and then it's like just cold. Some days we can't control the heat. I was just losing my mind. I was so thankful for this opportunity to be able to provide for our family, but I was just losing my mind. And at this time, I'm struggling to job hunt because we're out so often. And I just said to Mark, you know what, I'm just praying for a job that's fully remote. And I was like, I would love to work for like a really good company. I just want a company with integrity, because I do not want to have to go through what I went through. And at this point, I'm only looking for a job because of the stability of like being able to buy a car and hopefully buy a house and all these things. So I just put it out there, and I was like praying about it and shoveling snow with my husband. And of course, I can't like start a job that's like at Tim Hortons or retail or a proper job if I have to go into the office, because we now have a snow business. We're locked in until April 15th. Like, I can't just quit on my husband. Like, we need to do this together. So while this was happening, the snow business, as hard as it was, we started to watch a lot more videos about like how the snow business works. And what we understood is that snow business kind of sits within a lawn care business, which is like the year-round idea. And so we started to look at like, okay, come April, and Mark was loving it. That's another thing as well. My husband loves it. He is out in the snow. He's shoveling. He's doing manual labor. When it's not snowing, we're home. We're together. We're like we would have like 4 days no snow, and we're just home. We're just home. We can do things. We can just be together. And then when it's hard days, it's like 2-3 hard days of snow shoveling, and then we're home again. So this was more in line with the rhythm that we wanted for our family. It was just still, it's still difficult because it's not my dream. It's not my dream to be shoveling snow. It's not my dream to be outdoors. I'm into resting, right? I just want to be home. I want to be in my cozy house. I want to like be a YouTuber, content creator. I want to like be doing artsy stuff. I want to have like a product business. I want to make candles or soap or whatever from home. This is like my idea, right? So as much as my husband was loving it, I was not. But I was so thankful and grateful that we had this opportunity that we could make money and enough to survive. Like, we were able to pay rent without stressing. We were able to buy food without stressing. We were able to rent our car without stressing. Like, it was working so well. So we started talking about turning it into a year-round lawn care. And the thing is, when you start snow business, you only need shovels to begin with. Then you can upgrade to a snowblower, which you will need if you live like where we live now, which is just, you're not going to be able to shovel snow. You need snowblowers. And we have, anyway, but with lawn care, you need to buy equipment. So we started to really look into that. And then we had like 3 snow days, and it was intense. And then finally the snow days have done. I've slept, I've recovered. I go onto my laptop, I go to apply, expired just the day before. I felt so defeated. And then I was like, you know what? No, if God wants me here, nothing like a deadline is going to stop me. So I put together my portfolio, which I'd already put together because I'd been job hunting. So I just kind of like packaged it better. And then I sent an email and I said, hey, I know I'm a day late. Look, this is my experience. But not only that, I too actually went through an unexpected pregnancy, and this is my story. And my boss messaged back, I think within 30 minutes, and she was like, I am so glad that you applied for this role. Yes, it's late, but we would still like to give you an interview. Are you available on Monday? And I was like, and I said, yes, I'm available if it doesn't snow. So I explained to her, like, you have a snow business, and I'm gonna be available. I said to Mark, like, I'm gonna be available. Like, we're just gonna have to clear snow around my schedule. So I did my interview, and it just went so well. And then I did the interview with the ED, and that went really well, and I got a job. They offered me the job, 20 hours a week, fully remote, fully flexible, even more than I had even wanted, even requested. And another thing is, they're based in Alberta, so they're 2 hours behind. So when I wake up at like, when I start my day at 9 o'clock, it's still so early there. So by the time like I'm already in a rhythm, I've got so much done before they wake up. And anyway, it's fully flexible. My boss is just amazing. She does not mind what time I work as long as the work is done. I'm so happy. This helped us so much financially because now, and that was in February. So I got the job and I was just doing training, and then it's just by miracles that it wasn't snowing as much, but we still, of course, have like, we've got our seasonal, people have paid for the season. So we've got that money coming in. We're still going out with these other places. And honestly, it was just the perfect thing. But now we were starting to figure out like, okay, what's next? And when you start a lawn care business, it's different. You need a lot of capital. You need to buy a lawnmower. You need to have a vehicle that can tow. And if you rent a vehicle, you can't tow with that because they don't have the tow. So we were like, okay, we really need to buy a vehicle and we really need to buy equipment. So there's this thing called Futurepreneur, and they give funding for people who are starting their own businesses. So we got in contact with them, and they basically said, what's your credit score? And at this time, I think it was like 600 or something. It wasn't like high enough. And they said, or maybe it was like 500 or something. They were basically saying like, unless your credit score is above 630, you're not even going to get a funding, maybe 10K, and 10K just did not touch the sides. So we were like, oh, 10K is not gonna, like, okay, maybe we can put a deposit down on a vehicle using that and topping up with whatever we've made, but it's not enough. We needed capital because we need to run crazy marketing campaigns. We need to get flyers out. We need to do a whole bunch of stuff. So we were really like, how is this gonna work? So Mark and I were praying, and we made a list A to F. Like option A was we do the lawn care business, and we try to run some marketing with the money that we have. And then we use that money of clients who pay for the season up front to buy our equipment. It's a bit of a risk, this, that, and the other. And then option B was like something else. And then then I remembered like I had been really into this thing called work camping, where we were looking at living and working at a campground because of our traveling, right? So there's this option that when you're traveling full time, that you can go to campgrounds, and in exchange for a free site, you could work, and you would maybe just get a free site. Sometimes they would also pay you certain hours, maybe on top of whatever. So I was like, hey, why don't we look at work camping? Because we've also never cut grass before. So, and Mark would be doing it. We would have to hire somebody to work with him immediately because I have this job and I want to be with the kids and I want to do other things. So like we've never done lawn care before, really. Like Mark has done it in the past here and there. So we were like maybe going for a campground for this summer and learning how to use all these different tools. And then next year we will do lawn care. And then we were like, yes, that's what we will do. So we started to apply. We used the site workway.info, and we started to apply to look at these farms and these campsites and all these things that we're looking to give exchange for housing and a salary. That's what we really, really wanted. And as we were looking, I was like, wait, why don't we look at a Christian campsite? Because like that would be great, because I've always dreamt in the past that I want to go to summer camp. Like I grew up watching The Parent Trap, and I always wanted to go to summer camp and send my kids to summer camp. And I was like, I would love to work somewhere like that, and maybe even a Christian one. That would be so great. So we made a list, and it only started emailing 5, and we'd made like this family resume, which was really fun to do. And we sent that off, and we got some responses immediately. One said, we love what you're doing. We want to give you an interview. And it was only a job for Mark, groundskeeper, and 2 months. And then another one said, we love what you're doing, but we don't need help, but our sister camp does. But just bear in mind, they're further up north and they're on a lake. And I said to Mark, summer on a lake? Wasn't this what I said last year that like would just make me happy? So anyway, Mark interviewed for both places, but with the second place, they were also looking for somebody to help in the office. And both places were so gracious. We were like, how do you feel? Like it's not just one person, like it's me, it's my husband, me, and our 2 kids. And they were like, yeah, that's completely fine. You'll be included in everything. And the other place was actually like, well, if you have time, I do need office help. Would you be interested? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even think to like be hired. I said, I definitely have time because I only work 20 hours a week and I'm fully flexible. So, and Mark interviewed for both places and they both offered him the job. And it was so tough. And we just chose to go to the one up at the lake. And that was away for 4 months we had to go. And we also have our rental place. And we were just like, what are we going to do? So we almost went for the 2-month one because we said, at least if we go somewhere for 2 months, then 2 months paying rent, like it just, it was less of a risk. But we just followed our hearts and we said, like, no, we want to be up at the lake. And almost like it was either the same day or the day after that we accepted it, that this lovely family a message in my Facebook group and said, hey, we're moving to Ontario. Does anybody know like where to move to and anything about houses? And I'm like, yes, actually I do. We have our place. I said, it does get noisy and you can't control the AC, but it's a great place to get started if you're interested, because it is beautiful. And we lived in a really nice community. We had a school down the road, 2 schools, one was being built, and we had a park and we had the Vince's grocery. Like, it's a beautiful place. It was just, yeah. So they were like, oh, we're so interested. So I did a video tour and they decided to take the place. So everything was just falling into place. And so Mark moved up a couple of weeks before us, and every day he was just sending us pictures of the lake and sending us pictures of his job. And guys, I've never seen this man so happy. Like, he loved his job as a data engineer, but I can see this is what my husband was meant to do, just to be out in nature. Like, he is just a nature boy. So that was just, oh my gosh, I feel so emotional talking about it because he's just so happy. So then we joined, me and the girls, I packed up the whole house and we joined a couple of weeks later. And of course, like Mark's family, they drove us up and they stayed one night before they came back down. And we got there and it is more beautiful than I could have imagined. I was so worried. Like, we've just said, like, for 4 months, we're going to go live at this campsite. And we have our own lodge with 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. All our food is provided. We don't pay anything in rent. And Mark gets paid a full-time salary, 35 hours a week. I was getting paid for 10 hours. And the girls were thriving. My oldest was volunteering in the kitchen. My youngest was just living in that lake. Every day swimming, every day swimming. And it was just, honestly, all the hard stuff we went through to get here was just worth it, because it was just the best thing ever. The summer and the leadership, our managing directors are just so lovely. I love them so much. Like, feels like family. Like, they just run the camp with so much love and so much grace. And it's, apart from my main job, this is also like dream job. Like, we just felt so blessed. The team started to arrive, and my daughter, my oldest, who's been homeschooled at the time because we thought we were going to be traveling and she didn't want to start school when we didn't know where we were going to be and all that stuff. She then had all this young people, and she had all these people that she's hanging out with, and she's part of, like, we hardly saw her. We literally hardly saw her, only at meal times and in the mornings and evenings. Apart from that, she was just living her best life. And this is the life. This is why we moved, to give our kids this kind of life. The summer went by so fast, and at the end of the summer, they turned to us and they were like, we would love for you to come back again next year. We were like, we would love to come back. And they're like, we would also love that you come back. So we're going back this year. It's our cycle now. Like, summers at camp and winters, it's no business. I don't know, we'll see. But summers at camp is firmly locked in. So that just felt really good, knowing that we were coming back and that Mark, this is all our happy place and we get to come back. So we were just so happy. So as the summer was rolling to an end, we were trying to figure out what we're going to do. And we thought, let's try it one more time. Let's try to do RV life. Now I've got a job. Mark's got a job. Our credit rating has gone up. Long story short, guys, it didn't work out. It did not work out. It was just, if it's not one thing, it's another. And I'll do a whole video about all the stuff that we've gone through to try to do this RV life thing. But the conclusion is that we could get a car, because we now have a car, but to get an RV is just such a luxury item, and to get finance on that, it's just, you need to be in a better place than we were, essentially. So although our credit rating was a lot higher, we had some savings, it was just a no. And at that time, I just said to Mark, enough. I'm not going to try this again. we need to figure out our next stage in life because maybe this is just not meant to be right now. I believe that we will do RV life, but I don't think we'll do it the way we were going to do it, which was full-time RV life. I think we're going to be able to buy an RV and then we're just going to do like long trips whenever we can. I think that's just what's in our future for now. And after like kind of accepting that, everybody was actually like, you know what, we would have loved to do long-term RV life, but it was going to be just such a different life that we were just like, let's ease into it maybe. So it's all worked out. And so we were at camp and we're like, okay, that's not going to work, but we don't want to get a year-long lease. We want a short-term rental. And because where we are is a resort, they have short-term rental. So again, I got in touch with I just actually joined the Facebook group this time. And I just said, hey, we're looking for a 2-bedroom. This is our budget. Let us know. And we immediately got shown a couple of places and we got this place. What a stark difference a year makes, right? Last year we came and we viewed so many and every single one was a no. This year we had like 4 to choose from and they were all like, yes, whichever one you want, you can have. So we are just so thankful for that. Like, it's just, yeah. So we moved here and we've got an 8-month lease so that we can save all our money over summer. We don't have to look for somebody to take over our lease. So we bought ourselves a Kia Sorento, which is, so we got the 6-seater one with captain's chairs. I'll insert a clip here. And it's just the perfect family car. We love it. It's so cute. I just love it. I love a Kia. So we moved here. We loaded up the car and made a 4-hour journey to come and move into our resort. When we first moved, the pool was still open because they close it over the winter because it's an outdoor pool. So, oh my goodness, my family were in that pool every day. Wake up, straight in the pool. And it was just so good. We have a promenade here. We have a bunch of shops. It was just like everything I had like prayed and hoped for last year. We were finally living it. And I just felt so happy. So we love our place. We found a church that's close by. And now the next thing was to figure out, what are we doing for the winter? Are we going to do a snow business again? Or what are we doing? We knew for sure that we don't want Mark to go into conventional job because he has to be available over the summer. So the only thing that we knew that was winter only was snow business. So we decided to ask Mark's sister if she would be interested to join us for the winter to help with the snow business, and she said yes. So we started the design business. Mark's sister came over to help us with that, and that's going really well. And we're learning a whole bunch of new things. We also only have our own clients. We don't contract anymore, and it's going well. We don't know the future of the snow business. There's so many things that we're talking about and figuring out, but that's happening. I then also started school, so I will do a video about starting school. I joined the Toronto Film School to do graphic design because one of my dreams was to just be like a creative, so I want to offer graphic design out. That's changed a little bit just from doing this course. I don't know. I still haven't finished the course, so I will see. It's a 1-year intensive course, but it's fully remote, but it's not flexible. I have specific class times, so that's been an adjustment. Like joining class and the assignments have been intense, but I will do a whole video about joining school because I get funding now that I have PR, but it is expensive. This course is expensive. 25K is the course. Thankfully, I get that all covered in grant money. So I would not be doing this course if I didn't, because I just at this stage in our life, that's just not an amount that we can give out. Like, we are trying to build something. So that's what I'm doing, but I love the course. So the conclusion is we're so thankful that we stuck it out because it's been a roller coaster. And honestly, it felt like Canada was trying to eject us because we couldn't get a job or a house. So we were like, and it's been tough. And honestly, it's just, I feel like we're now at a place that we're not just surviving, we're on our way to thriving. We're not completely there yet. Like, we're still figuring out a lot of things, but we just have a much better life here. Or I can envision how much better our life is going to be. So I'm so glad that we're still here. Canada is forever home, 100%. That is something I can say. Another thing is, I wanted to say that if you're entrepreneurial, Canada is going to be a great place for you. If you're somebody who wants to start your own business, I have a friend who moved here from the UK and they have their own coffee shop. I have friends who have been able to thrive here doing their own business. So I definitely recommend that if you are somebody who's struggling to do a business in the UK, that Canada could actually be the place for you, because I think the North American mindset is just totally different to the European mindset or the UK mindset when it comes running and operating a business. Another thing I love about living in Ontario is that we have 4 distinct seasons. We have gorgeous summers. We're talking about 30 plus degrees. And when you're in Ontario, it gets humid. So being at the lake is just perfect. It's just perfect. Then we have beautiful winter, like beautiful fall days. Like it's just perfect, cozy days. Our winters are like a wonderland. Like it's just beautiful. And spring, I don't know. I kind of hibernate through spring, to be honest. So that's our recap. So what next? Thank you so much. I have no idea how long this video is right now, but thank you for sticking it through. And as I was creating this, I realized that there's just so much more I want to say. So I'm launching a recap series where I'll be using all the footage that I took to share more in depth into each part of our journey. So if you have any questions, drop them below, but also watch out for that series. I'll be posting it in vertical mode. So like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and I'll try to categorize them and everything. So yeah. So what next? Well, I'm starting a Discord community. Well, I'm going to be launching my recap series. So that's something to look out for. Number 2, we're so excited for 2025. We're going back to camp. And then we're also going to be house hunting. We're not buying this year, but we will be moving into a neighborhood, a proper house. So I'm going to be taking you along with all that process of getting into a proper house. My kids will be starting school, like actual physical school and not virtual school anymore. So I'll be taking you through that process too. And I feel like this is the mode we're in, settle season, like we're going to get a house. My parents will be here over the winter. For Christmas, my dad will move here for 6 months to do the snow business with Mark, if we're going to do that. And my parents are planning to move next year. So we are going to be looking, hopefully then, to buy a really big house where we can all live together, because I love my parents and we just want a house that there's like everybody has their own space, but we're together. And I'll be taking through their immigration process too. I'm launching a Discord community. I'm dropping the waitlist form below. Fill that out and I'll add you. It's going to be free to be part of the community. I'm still figuring out a lot of how that's going to look, but I just want to connect people who have moved to Canada and we're moving to Canada all in one community. I'll be hosting like little groups like for immigration topics, and you can ask your questions and hear other people's experiences. You can ask about housing, about jobs and things like that. I'll be hosting regular Q&As, so maybe I can get some really amazing people who have made the move to come in. So join below, and that's just going to be a little bit more niche support. And I will be connecting with immigration consultants, realtors, recruiters to bring as much as I can to the group. And that's it, basically. I'll be creating a lot more vlogs. I'm going to start doing weekly vlogs. I've held off a lot because when I planned to do weekly vlogs, the idea was that we were going to be out and RV life and all this and exciting stuff. And really and truly, my life is just, I work, I do school, I have my kids, my husband, and there's not that much. So I will be sharing our weekly vlog, because I think when I was moving here, that was something that I was just devouring. I just wanted to see what life was like. So I will take you around this area. Another thing is I will make special trips to go to the stores and to do Canadian things to just kind of show you how that looks like. So if you have anything specifically that you want to know, drop that below and I will try to make a video for that too. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much. If you made it to the end, thank you for your support. Thank you for your comments. I was like, who even cares that I've been gone? And I posted like, who wants to catch up? And so many people wanted to. And so many people messaged me like, we love your updates. And I'm just like, oh, I didn't realize. Sometimes it feels like I'm just talking into the abyss, but I care about you guys. I care about the fact that you want to make Canada your home. And I care so much that you're dreaming big and that you want to do all these things. And I just want to help as much as possible. And I love sharing our life. And I love being creative and creating stuff. So I'm just going to merge that all together and stop being too much in my head and just get it done. So I'm wishing you a very happy 2025. Link below to join the waitlist for the group. And please subscribe, like, comment, all that crazy stuff. And I'll see you a lot more in 2025. Thank you. Bye.